Greetings, dear ones. This is Friday, the 24th of June, and we're still in the very powerful energies of the solstice. And for those who didn't get an opportunity to attend and to join us for that ceremony, I am doing a kind of a mini recap of what we did and the ceremony. And this is something that you can do in your home. I have encouraged all of my clients this week to create a similar process, a ceremony, and we are making offerings today. And the solstice is one of the most powerful cosmic events for many different cultures, has been for thousands upon thousands of years. They're recently finding some pits around Stonehenge that are even much, much older. They have dated things, not only the stones of Stonehenge, but previously they found wooden structures that were then replaced with the stone, and those were from an earlier time. And those of you who are aware, this is a very structured, very specifically structured location on the planet, power location, sacred location, that allows for the sun to move through the stones in such a way only on a particular day of the year, and in this case it's the solstice. There's also the pyramids in Mexico, Chichen Itza. Again, when the sun is lined up, you can actually see a snake moving down the side of the steps of the pyramid. And of course, we have Machu Picchu. There's many different locations that are set up to align with different celestial events, because it was recognized and accepted that the cosmic bodies in our solar system and beyond were part and parcel of this Earth project, of this life that we've chosen to explore here as humanity. And the mathematics to measure the movement of the sun and the stars and the moon throughout the year was calculated without equipment, again, thousands of years ago by the ancients. And those measurements have not changed despite the sophistication of the equipment. So you can see today I'm down here on the floor. We have the drums, the musical instruments, the drums, and many other percussion instruments, because those are usually, and we, participate in a ceremony. But since it's just kind of a recap, we're not going to do that, but we do want to include them because the energy of sound is very, very prominent right now. And in indigenous cultures around the world, and probably even the ancient cultures, music and dance and movement and the sounds of chanting and or different words stated are very, very powerful in shifting and changing, and moreover, oftentimes the mathematics of the ceremony or the ritual that's going on. So we are including them. And as always, I have in the background music that oftentimes sends messages to clients when they're here, or even in our previous Ancient Future Wisdom episodes. So, as you may or may not know, the solstice represents polarities and oftentimes is described as the equal sun and moon throughout that day, although it is not actually. But there is more light at the summer solstice and the winter solstice, a little bit more at the solstice, the winter solstice, and the summer solstice is celebrating that wondrous energy and gift that is the sun. For without it, of course, we could not see, we could not plant, we could not in any way, shape, or form stay alive because it would be too frigid. So, what we're going to be inviting in today, this is kind of I'm showing you more of a personal ceremony process today, because I really invite each and every one of you to gather items for your own personal offering of gratitude, and that which you have had in your life and that which you wish for more of in your life, and that which you acknowledge gratitude for within the world, that which you're aware of. So, in that gratitude for all that there is, all that there's going on, we are allowing for possibilities and potentials, individually and collectively. When we only want to address or feel into or talk about or try to keep our lives in a positive, that rejection of anything that is negative or dark or uncomfortable literally perpetuates the separation. So, if you've worked with me before in any way, shape, or form, you know that all is invited here. And in one of my readings this morning, that was emphasized as well, that there is nothing other than the divine. There is nothing other than the truth, with a capital T, and by that meaning that ultimately everything is part of the one, part of the same. We are all made out of the same energy, and ultimately even the same elements and chemical constituents as anything else in this universe. Is just formulated in a different way and different percentages. So the more we recognize and the more science brings us of that knowledge, then we are able to not only have faith and belief in that oneness, but we now have more and more evidence, physical evidence, even though those of you who are very intuitive and very have heightened psychic abilities are very aware of that unity, that oneness, that connectiveness. So I'm hoping, I'm going to put the camera down a little bit so you can see this altar, if you will, or offering. I have it on a tray just simply so it would be movable. I tried different locations, but there's too many little ingredients that were not cooperating, so that's why we're here down on the floor. So, as I said, this offering is one of gratitude, and there are many personal symbols of my gratitude for those things in my life, so you can actually create your own. I would encourage you to maybe make a list of that which you are grateful for, and find items and flowers. Flowers are always a big part of Central and South American ceremonies, as well as, of course, in other countries, plants and probably leaves, dried or not, in different countries representing different, having different significance. So you can go and purchase some flowers, some seeds, find them out in the yard. I have a combination of all of the above. And we're just going to be assembling them, and I'm going to let you know what the items represent and for me. And again, there's certain categories that I would invite you to look into, whether it's your own physical body, your physical life, your home, your work environment, your expression of creativity. Well, creativity is probably going to go in a different category, but anything that is physical, finances, again, physical locations of whether your work or home, and then the next category would be that which you're grateful for that maybe you've accomplished or things that you've experienced, your characteristics, aspects, gifts, talents, abilities. Another category I would suggest is looking into would be the physical environment, that which we have on earth, nature, messengers, animal totems that you have that have represented something for you throughout your life, or they're present for you here and now. What else? Maybe some of the energetic abilities that you have. I have clients who work with magic. I have clients who are more earth-based, and their energy, their creativity or their ability to create in the world, their co-creation, they're sourcing from those existences. So, or anything you have an affinity for. We're going to be calling in many different cultures, many different ancients, because they've been with me and teaching me throughout my life, and at different points in time they come forward, and that energy will be here with me, for me, working with me. I'll work with that energy, and then it may step back again. That's me. Other people have more, how can I say it, long-term energetics or helpers that they work with throughout many decades or their entire life. We all have both, but whatever is more aligned with your belief system. So I'm going to lower the camera at this point and just share with you what I've done. What I would encourage you to do is find a very stiff camera, trying to get in the camera there, very stiff piece of wrapping paper, because ultimately you're going to burn this. If you don't have a fireplace, I'm sure, I've done it rather large so it will be visible, but you can make it a little bit smaller so that it's able to be handled. And I'm sure you can find a place outside your driveway, somewhere, even if you live in an apartment, a location where you can, easily burn something. Or in a cast iron. Oftentimes when I've been, going to locations, I've brought with me a big cast iron fry pan, and we've used that to burn in, or a cast iron kettle. So you can find a way to do this even if you don't have a fireplace or different facilities, backyard, etc. So I've kind of put out the ingredients, if you will, or the items that I'm going to be placing and offering, and I will name them and tell you the reason for my choosing them. And I have seen this done primarily in a circle, so I'm going to try to be creating a circular offering surface And so the first item is a rose. I have rose petals here. And these rose petals represent, for me, very high frequency rose oil. Those of you who work with essential oils or have done with me know that rose is the highest frequency of all the oils, much, much higher even than frankincense, which is a beautiful oil. But I think rose is about 4 times higher than even frankincense. And it is usually a rather costly oil because of the labor intensivity of making the oil. It takes 5,000 pounds of rose petals to make 1 pound of oil. So I'm inviting that high frequency in, and the beauty, the scent of that high frequency, the rose. Excuse me. I also have petals, or actually little buds, of a green flower that I was able to locate. And this flower represents for me the green and the growth and the expansion that I always pray for, hope for, and am grateful for. Excuse me, I'm going to grab a couple more of those and just to place around. And when you're doing yours, you can literally name things that you want, like growth in relationships, growth in your business or your work, growth in your creativity, whatever seems to be more appropriate for you. The next flower that I'm going to invite to join me is the carnation, because this has always been my favorite flower, and happened to find one that is of my favorite color, peach. And in this instance, I am calling in all of my favorite things. I am grateful for my favorite things that I have around me in my home, around me in my yard, in friendships and places that I'm able to visit. My favorite city, of course, is where I grew up. So this, again, can be very customized to you and what you're grateful for in your life and what has had great significance for you. The next item I'm going to call in is actually, I have a bunch of dried corn here because, excuse me, corn in just about all Latin American cultures, indigenous cultures, has great significance. And so I'm going to name this. The reason why I'm bringing it in is not only for sustenance and for food on my behalf, that I'm able always to discern and know what foods my body needs, and to for our planet, that the food sources are going to be accessible, sustainable, clean. So I'm giving gratitude for those that do. We have access here in the United States, to different levels of organic foods. We're seeing more and more the changes to the way food is processed, which is wonderful. There are no more caged eggs being sold in any restaurants around the country. That is a new development as of last year. So please look into your food sources. Now I am going to place these beautiful little bell flowers that I love and have found locally. Trader Joe's, wonderful source for flowers. And in this instance, these flowers for me represent freedom, the bells of freedom. And I would say, personal freedoms. And I would also call in some, particularly right at the moment, national freedom, and as well as freedom for all those that are encumbered in any way by political or social restrictions, confinement, limitation. So freedom rings out, and that's why I'm using that symbolically as a bell of freedom. The next thing I'm going to call forth is, again, these are seeds. You can find seeds all over the place. These are probably from dollar store or Christmas tree store. And I'm placing these particular greens. These seeds are for microgreens that are intensely healthy. And they represent also for me the green and growing things on the planet that give us such powerful health and benefits. So these seeds, I am grateful for all of the healthy food. I was fortunate enough to grow up in Northern California with a mother who was very advanced for her time, and we had the good fortune of having a great deal of access to foods. We didn't eat in my home any white flour, white sugar, candy, sweets, except on special occasions. So we had a lot of very, very healthy fruits and vegetables. That was a great benefit of being in California. Also, again, great deal of organic, even way back then when I was a child. And, no cereals. We ate granola, mueslix, etc. And that has seen me through many, many health challenges throughout my life, and just very, very grateful for that education and that opportunity. So that's why the seeds for the microgreens went in. This is a pack of seeds of beautiful flowers, because beauty is my energetic organizing principle. And those of you who are going to be joining me in the group, looks like in July, mid-July, the group program is starting, where we're going to be gathering once a month in a half-day or longer retreat. Also 2 90-minute Q&As with me, so you can get a personal read, a personal update, hurdle help for what you're going through, and one private one-on-one 3 to 4 hour session. So, and then very, very likely throughout the year, quarterly, day-long retreats that you would be invited to as a group member and at a discounted rate. So I'm very excited about that. I'm hoping you're going to join me, because the power and the energy of a group is unlike anything else, those of you who have attended any of my workshops before. So I'm bringing in the beauty of my life. I'm bringing in the organizing principle of beauty, because it overlies and underlies everything that I do, teach, think, speak. So I'm going to put all of these seeds in, and hopefully I'll be able to find some more. And I think the next item I'm going to place around the outer edge is candy. These are different candies that I enjoy, and This allows us to bring in the sweetness of life, or I'm inviting in more of the sweetness of life, the sweet things that are available all the time. And so you can place candy, fruit, anything that represents sweets or treats to you. And the next item I'm going to place in here is a crystal. This is amethyst that represents purification and connection to divine beings and serenity. So that's very important to me and in my life. So that's going in the center. I'm also going to place in some coins. You can use coins, you can use some other metals, but we want to invite in the ores and the minerals and metals, as well as representing financial abundance. I'm very, very grateful. I have a little abundance altar on my kitchen counter, and there's a statement there that reminds me I am grateful for all the monies I have ever received. I'm also purposefully placing in here a penny for the copper, and if any of you have read some of the headlines for today or heard anything, copper, which is a very significant core mineral to electronics, to many different things, is being seen as an indicator of financial stability, and it's going a little wobbly in the market. It's dropped down to a never before seen low. So we want to invite in, and I'm grateful for all the copper and the wires and everything that I have encountered that have helped me in my life. And so I am placing this in deep gratitude. I'm also placing a feather in the center of the altar, if you will, ceremonial surface, because this represents for me always spreading wings and flying. And this morning, beautifully, as I was outside spending time in my yard and then in the labyrinth, of course, beautiful hawk. I heard him screech before I saw him. And there were 3 very small birds, as they are wont to do, that were attacking him, trying to keep him away from, obviously, their nests or what have you. And they continued to attack him as he circled around, and then he circled higher and circled higher and circled higher, and they were no longer able to fly to attack him. The hawk is one of those beautiful messengers that represent being able to see things from a high view, and it's one of my major totems. So I'm very, very grateful to the hawk for showing up this morning. And while this isn't a hawk feather, it is representing not only the hawk, but the many birds and their messages. Birds are considered messengers by many different cultures. The shaman that I studied with in Ecuador, they put them in their major pantheon along with the 4 elements and plants and plants and trees. So the next item I'm going to place in here is copal, C-O-P-A-L. It is a very, very powerful healing and spiritual item that's been used in Latin American countries for many, many years, thousands probably. And when it burns, it smells absolutely magnificent. And we are going to put this in as an offering or I'm going to put this in as an offering to the divine beings, and particularly for me, Latin America and the cultures there, because I've been so involved with them from even before I was born. And the prayers in gratitude for that and for me, and my relationship with Latin Indigenous. The next item that is going in is frankincense. This is, again, in other parts of the world, been used for, let's see if I can show it to you a little bit. It's been used for prayer and incense for thousands of years as well, back to Egypt and beforehand. So I'm placing frankincense in honor of and gratitude for those teachers and cultures that I've been working with since I was a little girl, Egypt, and some other countries that I will not necessarily call in today. And that the offerings with that incense, that they rise up clearly and strongly to the heavens. The next item I'm going to place in, I kind of wish I had broken it down, but this is a little piece of very sparkly, very pretty pipe cleaner. And this is representing the spirals of life within the magical realms. Again, another energetic that I work with and have done for many, many years. And there's so many different forms of magic. We will be studying magic in the group process as part of one of our retreats, if not more. And so I'm inviting in those that are in my heritage on both sides of my family, as well as the magic realms that I've worked with since I've been an adult working with energy. So it doesn't seem like this wants to break apart. So I'm going to just place it in the middle here, because magic is very significant in my world. As well, I'm going to call in another couple of call in and be grateful for. This is mainly a gratitude ceremony. And so I am grateful to all of those energies. This is just very sparkly, sparkle. And I'm calling using both blue and pink, because it not only represents magic, but the different forms of magic from the male aspects and the feminine aspects. And lastly, but certainly not least, I found out in my yard these magnificent black flowers. They're little pods at this point. When I picked them, they were open and they're black and white inside. And I was fascinated with them because I hadn't ever seen them before. And brought them in this morning to add into as a beautiful representation. Well, actually I saw them the other day, but when I picked them this morning and laid them out, I came back a little while later and they were closed and they're solid black flowers. So this represents the dark. I'm offering this as in deep gratitude to what seems to be dark and what is so significant, and all of the gifts and the very, very powerful teachings, learnings, impetus and catalysts that the dark, or that which is uncomfortable and ostensibly not wanted. It's going to try and open one of these little pods to let you see the inside, but it doesn't seem to want to cooperate. There. As you can see, it looks, get it up to the camera, it looks black and white, and when it's open, it just seems to be striped. But as you can see, there's tiny little seeds in there. Hopefully you can. tiny little seeds in a white background. And of course, this is one of the genius ways of nature to propagate. But again, the dark seeds, they are black. And from those seeds come so many different things from the dark. So once you have your ceremonial altar, if you will, or offering put together, I have it on a piece of tissue paper, which I would suggest, and a very large piece, or a larger piece of very stiff, hard paper that we can fold this in. I'm going to try to fold it in properly as I was taught, but that may not necessarily be the case. And as I'm doing so, I am going to call in the different entities and the different powers that are participating with us, not only today, but certainly from the day of the solstice. So, as always, we invite in the elements: earth, air, fire, and water. I call in and call upon the directions: the direction of the east for illumination with Brother Eagle, the direction of the west with Brother Bear for introspection and quiet, in the south with Sister Otter and Sister Porcupine, reminding us of playfulness and wide-eyed wonder and innocence. And in the north, overseeing that direction is Our Lady White Buffalo, bringing us prayerfulness, patience, wisdom. And in the below, the direction below, there are many hidden realms within the earth, many different engineers and maintainers that are working on a constant basis to continue and propagate this reality that we're in. In the direction of above, for our cosmic family in our solar system and beyond, the different constellations and cosmic bodies that allow this universe to have the variety and the power and the diversity. And of course, the direction within. Within you, there is a universe. And as you explore internally more and more and practice dropping down and in, you are able to travel and move in and through that universe. I am further calling in, of course, the divine feminine, the divine masculine, bringing both and all gender aspects, and in particular the balance or imbalance that we have experienced throughout history of that male and female relationship as humans, and the aspects of the characteristics. We've been primarily under a structure with the detrimental aspects of the masculine. And again, this isn't referring to men per se, but just the masculine, wherein those detrimental aspects are control and oppression and using force and greed and aggression. And we're seeing quite a bit of that right now, very much in our eye, for it to be changed. So that's always a part of everything that we do, hopefully, in that shifting to the feminine way of being, which incorporates everyone and everything around in cooperation, collaboration, connection, communion, and communication. Communication being a strong point. I'm going to invite in the elders now. And for me, some of the significant elders, certainly in indigenous cultures here in the United States, are the Hopi, the Zuni. In Latin America, the Quechue, the Ayanara, the Maya. Again, for you, any elders, anyone's cultures or philosophies that you've studied, as I mentioned earlier, the Egyptian and Greek, ancient Greeks, ancient Egyptians that have walked with me throughout my life, taught me, shown me, guided me. And again, the elders in the particular magical realms that come through my bloodline and that I have later trained with. In deep gratitude for all these many aspects, these many teachers, many helpers, many guides, gurus. Just feel into the energy here for this, although I presented this in a more personal way for me, it is for you to be able to take this opportunity even in this moment and name those things that you're grateful for in your own life, in your area or region, in your country, on this planet, the experiences that you've had, those favorite things in your life, the luxury and ease that we have in this country, the variety and diversity of this planet, of the human capability. And that gratitude, when we are talking about things that have been with you throughout your life, aspects of you that you have recognized, acknowledged, worked with, modified, transmuted. Feel into the power of all of that aid, that help, that mirroring, that path that you have traveled. And indeed, gratitude, the path that you will travel. For there is so much to be grateful for on this planet, in this Earth project, that can hold so much pain and so much suffering and anger and grief, and at the same time such exquisite beauty and ecstasy and play and growth and knowledge and expansion. This literally is the Disney World of the universe. And you are here because you chose to play in this Earth Disney World. You chose to come and make a difference. And everything that I do, everything that I work for, everything that I pray for is that individual growth and expansion for all those I come in contact with. For it is this beautiful process of evolution that is allowing your soul's destiny to come forth, allowing you to complete soul work. Again, just simply allowing yourself to drop in inwardly, not only to the gratitude, but the gratitude can fill you. So often we are grateful in our minds. But that's why we're doing something very, very physical and very, very physical representations. Because when you physicalize any of your emotions, good, bad, or indifferent, it is not only extremely powerful for you, but in that anchoring in, you are allowing for it to continue, or when you've transmuted a piece, you are allowing that transmuted aspect to infiltrate, to flow through, to move in to the very fabric of this reality. And again, doesn't matter how simple or how elaborate. Just going to, take a quick picture of this in close up so that I can share it with those that may not be able to hear this video or participate in this way. And again, just allowing yourself to deepen even more so. Feeling, experiencing, sensating whatever is occurring in you. Don't push anything away. Don't judge any aspect, but invite all. For all is all. All is a part of the one, and we are unified in that one on levels far beyond our brains, far beyond our conscious awareness of our physical 3D environment. Again, I'm going to try to fold this in a way that I was taught, wherein specific geometric configuration. Again, many of my greatest teachers were those in the math world. Pythagoras, so many others. And again, really a nice, tight square. Ah, it happened. And I will be placing this in my fire pit, again with more offerings, more prayers. And as I said, you don't have to have it as elaborate. You can use one item to represent the things that you are grateful for. Here we are. And you can make it much smaller. You can burn it, as I said, in various locations, even in a pot or a pan, cast iron. And as you do so, again, continue to allow that gratitude to fill every cell of your body, to fill all parts of you. And that gratitude for all that is pleasant and wondrous and wonderful, as well as all that has appeared negative or detrimental or painful in your life. On the television music, a hawk just screeched. And usually that comes in, again, that's oftentimes a sign that there is truth being spoken. So please enjoy, please realize that as you do this ceremony, this isn't just actions, this isn't just a ritual because it's been told to you or because other cultures do this, but for you, honoring your life, honoring all that you've had in your life, all that you have experienced in your life, all that you enjoy in your life, all that has challenged you in your life. For there is only one you, and you are unique, you are magnificent, you are purposeful, you are very well aware from a soul perspective why you're here, what you're doing, personally and collectively. And should you decide to explore more, it would be a privilege to walk with you hand in hand into the deepest places and bring you back with more of you and on your path of soul destiny. So until next time, dear ones, it is, as always, with the deepest of honor, the deepest of gratitude, and the deepest of love for your presence here on the planet. Be well.